Thank you, Deepak, for joining us and speaking to us about the Georgia business. Every day, every day, you go about your routine to make sure that the taste that the average person gets when he presses the button on the Georgia dispensing machine for coffee is the same as before. What effort does that require from you?
First, it starts with knowing what your coffee is all about. So what kind of coffee that would go into the cup, what does the consumer want, what kind of profile they're looking for. Then it would get into things like understanding how it would perform in the vending machine and how it would, if it's an espresso style or a drip brew style, what kind of profile you would get out of it. And finally, lastly, how would be the balance of those multiple characteristics that go into it. See, any blend of coffee is very rarely more than one single type. So to get the best out of any coffee, you would make multiple blends, multiple origins or multiple grades of coffee to make one blend. So knowing how each of them work within to complement each other and bring out the best is critical to knowing that.
So tell us about the journey from acquiring of the coffee beans to the final cup when it reaches the consumer. It's a long journey. What processes does it involve?
Yeah, it's a process that takes 9 to 11 months. So I'll try to cut it down in a minute. But very broadly, what happens is, coffee is usually grown in the mountainous regions. So it's also knowing about the coffee in terms of where is it grown, what kind of quality it delivers, what is the region it comes from, what are the characteristics of that particular coffee. So you look at a bean, which is like the coffee is planted, it becomes, it flowers, and then it becomes a berry, and then it's converted into green coffee. It goes through a couple of processes before that. All these contribute to make into what kind of coffee you look for, and therefore from bean to cup, or bean to vending machine in our case to cup, is a combination of knowing what you want from the coffee and how it delivers into the final process. So the process very briefly is bean to processing to roasting to grinding, if it is pre-ground coffee, or into the vending machine, extracting as an espresso or drip brew coffee, and then finally delivering into cup. And then knowing how to merge these correctly in terms of what you want into the...
Last 10 years, we've also seen a steady increase in coffee consumption in the country. The coffee houses, the coffee retailing units, they have jumped in number. Are we at an inflection point?
We wear two hats. One is of a product developer and the other is of a commercial. So there's no point creating a blend that is really wow, and then the commercial operation guy comes back and says, this is too expensive. So you can't do that. So what we do is we look at the factors in the coffee. For example, if I'm making a blend, let's say our blend in India is a blend of Arabica and Robusta for the regular Georgia business, then what is it about the Arabica that we want? What is it, the acidity? Is it the fruitiness, the sweetness of the coffee? Is it the flavor of the coffee that cuts through in that? And then why do we put the Robusta in it? What component of Robusta that goes into it? What type of Robusta that goes into it that gives it the chocolate, the buttery smooth finish? So it's like a marriage of two different types of coffee and grades within that to give you the best cup. When you make a blend, you're looking at first what is it that the consumer is looking for. So that determines what kind of roast, one is the blend preparation, and then what kind of roast color you want, the lighter or the darker part. And then also synced with what type of vending machine you're using. So if it's an espresso type, you would tend to go for a darker roast profile. If it's a drip brew coffee, you would go for a medium dark roast profile. Again, depending on the demographics or the type of people you're delivering this coffee to.
Thank you so much, Deepak, for taking out the time for us.